Okay, so this is part 4 of the physics of the United States Constitution and the principles described within the Declaration of Independence, followed by the United States Bill of Rights and its Constitution, which gives us, again, the freedoms that we enjoy, we appreciate in this country, that other countries have been able to appreciate and enjoy as they have accepted the same or in a similar manner a form of Republican Constitution. I recapped before, consider the example of Japan, how the Japanese Empire after World War II collapsed. Today, the Japanese country is known to have also a Republican Constitution. Many other countries follow the same suit, the same principles, the same example that the United States follow or started when they established their own independence from Great Britain and established the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights, where people were given freedoms transcending life never before seen. So it's important that we keep that in mind. And I wanted to bring one more example. Think of right now and strongly consider looking into what's going on in Venezuela and what's been happening in Venezuela for the past 20 years or so. And I want to bring a few points about that country because people are not being made aware thereof of what's happening, of what's going on. And it's so important that we become aware that as a world and as we are making progress towards more freedoms, more prosperity, more abundance, and we see countries or institutions that want to regress to systems of rulership that have never worked in the history of mankind ever, then we have a challenge. We have a situation because we are divided by countries, but we are humanity. We all live in this one single planet. We are one people. And it's important. We cannot have the attitude or the thought that, oh, it's not in my country, it's not in my vicinity. Oh, that's happening over there. It doesn't affect my daily life. Well, factually, I'm here to tell you, according to quantum mechanics, it is affecting your life drastically every day, even though you may not be noticing it, even though the influence may be subtle. As long as these systems are not, I want to say, put in check, or as long as people ignore or allow or tolerate tyranny or the evils that have been perpetrated upon humanity, there's this thing called sin by omission, failing to do the right thing. Albert Einstein was quoted as saying that for evil to triumph, all has to happen is for good people to do nothing, to become ignorant, to become apathetic. And that's a sad truth. That's how it works. That's what is actually happening today. And it's so important that we become aware, that we expand our mind a little bit as to what we can do, what we can be to positively impact these scenarios. And it's not what you may imagine. And I'm going to explain it to you this way. Maybe as you have gone through the news, maybe if you watch mainstream media, maybe you watch alternative news, maybe you go on your social media and there's reports of things happening around the world, mostly negative, right? We live in a toxic society, and bad news or negative news will reach us much faster than anticipated. And especially now with technology and smartphone technology and the internet and so forth, we are communicating a lot faster, and negative news may reach us much, much, much faster than ever before. For that reason, we may perceive that we may become overwhelmed. We may become stressed and anxious and hopeless. Maybe thinking to ourselves, this is so sad, that these things are happening around the world. We may hear of, starving masses, the poverty, the inequality, the apathy, the wars, the intolerance, the genocides, the many things that we are exposed to. And we may feel hopeless because as individuals, we may think, well, there's nothing I can do about it. As it is, my life is hard enough to deal with. And that's maybe true for you and I know it has been true for myself. Many times I used to think that there's absolutely nothing I can do to remedy these situations until I was made to realize of a most important truth about life, about who we are, and our power as individuals and as a collective. We have awesome power. We have amazing power. And this is not a rah-rah, yes, you can do it, go for it, type, information or riff. Certainly, hopefully, this riff or what I'm talking to you about will motivate you to move forward in that direction. But I'm here to inform you. I'm here to give you precise data, knowledge, understanding, discernment of what is so, of facts, of who you are, of what you are, and of how you and I function factually, and how we can use our own personal abilities to improve these situations. And I'm here to tell you that it's not going to take this massive, drastic change of your daily life. But I'm here to tell you it just takes a slight shift on your own thinking. Yes, that's right. I'm saying your own thoughts. Just a small shift on the way you think and the way you perceive yourself and the world. Because if one person were to do this, and then another person were to do the same thing, and then another, and like a domino effect, like a snowball effect, we could reach potentially a collective consciousness and awareness of thinking among the masses that can positively shift the direction of humanity for the better. Now, won't that be interesting? For the longest time, we have been told that we need to do things, that we need to go out of our way to do and do more and so forth. But that hasn't necessarily done or brought about long-term changes or benefits, because the reality of it, at the root problem of it, is that it is the thinking, our quality of thinking, our perceptions and our beliefs about ourselves and about our lives is what is creating the chaos in the world. Now, I'm not just saying this as a statement of philosophy. There's factually a scientific quantifiable understanding that this is how it works. Now, I mentioned to you before that we'll go over the quantum physics lesson. Now, when people hear quantum mechanics, quantum physics, their mind might go dark or blank, might get confused. If I spend too much time trying to explain to you, about the various quantum physical laws that have been discovered and the implications of them, you may get confused. And of course, this is not to discourage you that you don't have the ability to understand these things. No, we all have the ability to understand and comprehend. For some people, it may take a little bit longer, a little more time, a little more energy or pondering over as you are exposed to these things. So I could talk to you about, for example, the basic principle of quantum mechanics that is known as particle wave duality. Or I could talk to you about quantum entanglement. Or I could talk to you about quantum tunneling. Or I could talk to you about quantum superposition. I could talk to you about the uncertainty principle of atoms and how it is impossible to determine the speed and position of a particle and all these concepts, and you probably will go off and become even more confused, more bewildered. You might think it's too hard to think about. This isn't for me. It's too hard to solve people's problems, because if you're telling me that I have to become a quantum physics expert, then that's never going to happen. I'm not saying that. I'm not emphasizing the point that you need to become a quantum mechanics expert or anything like that. But what I am suggesting is that you please consider some basic principles that quantum mechanics has revealed. Now, I've simplified these principles as 4 principles of science that come from quantum mechanics and the observation of how laws in the universe operate through atoms, through you, through the planet and everyone else, which demonstrate or suggest to us how we work, how we function, and how we can use our thoughts to literally transform the world for the better, from just shifting your perception, your beliefs about the world and about yourself. It is as simple as that. And I'm going to prove it to you. But let me go first over those 4 principles. And if you have pen and paper, I would suggest you write these down. Write them down and read them over and over again, so they're in your mind, so you think about them and ponder over them. The first principle is that, you might have heard this before, but it's important that you grasp, is that everything in the universe, everything in life, is made out of energy or atoms. Atoms are made of energy. And this is what's been called the process of quantization, in which, as we observe particles and smaller particles and what those particles are made of, we continue to discern that the whole universe is made of nothing but energy. That's principle number 1. Everything in the universe is made of energy. Principle number 2 is also scientific. It says that everything, all energy, vibrates at a certain frequency, a certain rate of vibration. In fact, everything is energy vibrating at different frequencies. And everything sends out a signal of energy in all directions. And the energy that is being transmitted by everything, we're talking about everything, your body, your brain, your mind, the things that you possess, everything around you transmits a vibration, a frequency, and is picked up by your receivers. So, principle number 2 is that everything vibrates and sends out a frequency, a vibration. And this energy, in fact, according to quantum mechanics and the basic principle of particle wave duality, says that all energy exists through all time and space, which means that your energy of you and all your things is transmitted through space, through all time and space. Now, that might be a little hard to grasp, but consider and ponder. This has been proven without a shadow of a doubt. It is a fact. So principle number 1, everything in the universe is energy. Principle number 2 is that all energy vibrates, sends out a unique transmission of frequency out into the universe in all directions simultaneously. Principle number 3 is the following. Since everything is energy and everything is sending out frequencies of vibration, then in conclusion and by scientific measurable facts, your brain is also a transmitter of energy, frequency, or vibration. It also receives frequency, energy, and vibration. Your 5 senses pick up energy and vibration, which points to a 6th sense that we have, and that is that your brain can pick up energy or frequencies of coded vibration. In fact, just like your thoughts are generated by your brain, and you can transmute those through your vocal cords and speak those thoughts, essentially, those thoughts are also energy being transmitted all over the universe, just like all things. And these thoughts ubiquitously are spread thin through all space and time, because all energy is essentially forever. It goes on and on and on. So, again, your thoughts are a frequency, and your mind sends frequencies in the form of thoughts, and also you pick up other people's thoughts or other thoughts from other sources. So that's principle number 3. Principle number 4 has been a teaching that has been perpetuated through many books, many movements, many teachers, coaches, and gurus. And it says that there are physical laws in the universe. Now, I'm going to go into more detail about that physical law. It's called the law of magnetic attraction. And you may be familiar with that, but there's also the law of resistance. I'll explain to you in my next riff how these two correlate, how they work, and how they relate to the other 3 principles of quantum mechanics or science and how we function. So keep that in mind. Look forward to my next riff as I go into more detail as to the 4 principles of science and how we can use them to create our own reality, and how not knowing this is actually detrimental. It's actually creating a situation where we are experiencing much pain, much suffering, much evil, unnecessary. And we are in fact creating it. We are collectively a cause over all the evils in the world. And this is not to put blame on any individual person, but we have to accept how things work and how they do not work, and work with the laws of physics and the mechanics of the mind. So let's strongly consider that, and look forward to my next riff as I go into more detail as to how that is.